Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Sometimes I get a request to have some more ideas for so-called masculine cards. Instead of thinking about cards in terms of a gender identity, I love to think of cards in terms of neutral or simple. You can take any design and simplify it to create more of a gender neutral design, and that's what I'm sharing today. That card is coming up next. Today I'm sharing a card for my dad, and I thought that this big cling stamp, this open grid pattern, was just a really good base for a gender neutral design. So simple ink blending, so let's take a look at the products. Here's the 6x6 cling stamp that I'll be using today, nice red rubber cling, and I've also got a word and shadow die that I designed that just says Papa. I'm not going to use the shadow layer today, but I am going to use some cool colors of the rainbow. Just three, a couple blender brushes, keeping it very simple. So let's start stamping. I've got my Misty here. I'm going to take the magnet out and take the insert out to place in my cling stamp. This is how I like to use cling stamps when I'm stamping with the Misty. I adhere them right inside the tool, take my piece of paper, and this is cut down to be 6x6, pop that in place, take a little low-tack tape, and I'll just put two pieces of tape on the back here to hold it in place. If it's a smaller piece, I'll just use one, but I don't want it to shift. And all I'm going to do now is adhere it to the Misty door. Please forgive how dirty my Misty door is. It needs a lick and a promise. All right, going to emboss magic the heck out of the paper just to remove static and oil. And then I'll ink up the cling stamp with clear sticky embossing ink. This is the ink from Simon Says Stamp. Work my way around, get a great coating, bring the Misty door down, and then I'll use my Debbie tool. This just allows me to put really nice even pressure onto the Misty door as I press my paper into the stamp to transfer the ink. All right. And now, why not do it a second time? Because the paper hasn't moved from the door at all, so I can stamp it exactly in the same place to get a really great impression on the paper. Okay, next, the powder. I'm going to use Fine Detail White from Simon Says Stamp. Just sprinkle that all over, right, and let it sit. Now, I'm going to be cutting this panel down, so I wasn't really worried about getting it perfect on the edges, like where I have my little clothespin. But I'll let it sit there for a second and then just let it fall off onto my little folded piece of paper. A few taps and you can see the beautiful open grid pattern. Now when I go to melt this powder, I usually bring in my little, it's just a food cutting board, but it's kind of hard to hold this thing and get it all done. But all you're going to do is work your way around slowly, then pick up your piece and tilt it in the light. And any places that you see are dull, then you know you didn't melt that powder. Now to ink blend. I clean off my brushes just by wiping them off on some paper towel because I have a set of blender brushes from Gina Designs and each one has a little color clip on it so that I know this brush goes with the green inks, and I rarely wash them because I really do just keep these for Gina K inks. Now this is Jelly Bean Green and I'm just bringing it on at a diagonal and kind of keeping it in the center as we go down because all I'm going to do is create a band of color. Next I'll bring in Ocean Mist and I'll switch over to my blue brush. And I'm wiping it off because I don't know what I had on last time. But we'll tap a little off on that little side piece of paper because I don't want to come in too heavy with the ink. I'm trying to create a nice light blend, and so the tap off just helps me not blob down a big heavy amount of color, right? So we can just keep it smooth and groovy, and overlap a little as well into the green to get that cool transition color. The third color I'm bringing in is Turquoise Sea. Now these blues definitely can be considered more masculine if you like to ascribe, blues to boys or whatever, but I think they're also neutral to some extent, right? I mean, I probably wouldn't do a card with pinks for my dad, but there's nothing to say that your dad wouldn't love pink or any other men in your life, right? I try to think about color based on each recipient, and that's how I choose. So Adding a little more ocean mist in here just because I wanted to pump it up a little bit more, but again, keeping my hand really light and just sort of fading it off to the edge as I go. Now I'll take a paper towel, just wipe over to reveal more of that white. But here's another little trick I recently learned from a friend of mine on Instagram. I'm going to take a clean Tim Holtz Dome Foam, spray on a little ultra clean, and then tap it off on my hand like that, and then just lightly go over the piece, not pressing into the paper, but really it just shines and brightens up the white embossing powder ever so slightly, but it really does work. Next, I'll take a A2 layer die from Waffle flour, frame out the piece that I want, and cut that out with my die cut machine. Now for the card base. This is going to be a top folding US A2 card. So I'm scoring this right at 5.5, right? The paper is 11 by 4.25. I'm going to flip it over just so I remember what is the inside. And I'm going to pop this right inside my MISTI, and I'm going to grab a different stamp set for a greeting to pop inside this card for my dad. This is a set called Parental Props. I think I designed this 1 or 2 years ago, but I just thought it would be fun to have a little black inked up sentiment, and this is just using some Simon Intense Black, right? Just to have a cute little greeting on the inside. I do get questions as well asking, Cathy, do you put greetings on the inside? And the answer is almost 95% of the time, I do. And so I like to show that. I'm trying to do that a little more often, but there you go. I hope you know how much I love and appreciate you. You are my hero. So I can fold that down, right? Give it a nice press with my bone folder. Beautiful crease there. Now, I die cut a few of the papas off camera from some Neenah Solar White Classic Crest in the 110 pound. I've got 3 total. I lined my box with whatever paper I have either been ink blending with or, you know, just whatever scrap I have. And someone had asked me, do I change that paper out? And the answer is yes, I change it every time because that spray adhesive gets everywhere. So I will flip it over, spray whatever the next die cut is, and then discard the paper. But there are my 3 layers for my papa die. And I'll just press that down with a block and let that adhere. I've got foam tape on the back of the panel, and I will pop that down right onto my cardstock base. I thought the green was going to be really nice with those inks that I had used. And there I'll just daub on liquid glue. And this is so easy to line up because of the grid. And look, I can slide it just a bit to make sure that is perfectly lined up exactly where I want it. And my friends, that is the finished card. So this is a very simple gender neutral design, right? The colors, the design, and honestly, this could be great for anyone in your life. Of course, this is a Father's Day type of card or just a general card celebrating dads. But you can see how the design itself is relatively gender neutral. Depending on what greeting you put on the front, this card can go to anyone you like. Thanks so much for watching today. I would love to have you become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the gray bell below the video so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here are a couple other videos that you might be interested in watching. Thanks so much and have a great day.